Good morning. Here I am in my now famous I am not yet t-shirt. The question that I ask you is that if I am not it and you're not it, then who are you? Who you are and who I am is the sum total of the meaning that we have attached to the events of our lives. We made ourselves up out of fantasy. And if we were to let go of the meaning that we have attached and let go of the fantasy, who would we be? We would be nothing. Today I want to talk to you about the power of being nothing. When I was 10 years old, my mother sent me down into the basement to get a jar of pickles. The basement was dark and empty, and I couldn't reach the light that was on a pull string. And over in the corner of the basement was a newly varnished bench that my sister was preparing for a 4-H project. I dragged that bench underneath the light, stood on it, turned on the light, went over, secured the pickles, stood on the bench again, turned off the light. At this point it left 4 ugly footprints in the top of the newly varnished bench. Then I tracked varnish up into my mother's kitchen. When my sister discovered this, my mother said, "Stephen, you are so clumsy, we cannot bear to have you in this house. You are not fit for human companionship." And that was just an innocent remark that she made in response to the fact that the day before he pulled a towel rack off the wall in the bathroom by doing chin-ups. But the meaning that I attached to that event is that my mother knew what she was talking about and that I was not fit for human companionship. But it was me that attached that meaning. I'm sure if I had that conversation with my mother today, she would not even remember. One of my clients told me, he said, "This is fine for you to say that, but I'm stupid, and I know it because my mother told me." He said, "I was sitting in the back seat of the car. On my 12th birthday, my mother turned around and looked at me and pointed her finger and said, 'You are stupid.'" I challenged him to clear it up with his mom. He called her on the phone and he said, "Do you remember that incident when I was 12? When he explained it to her, she just laughed and she said, "I remember that incident, but I was talking to your father." All of us carry these kinds of things around with us from the events of our past, and we make up meaning. Because that meaning is made up, we can let it go. We can change the way that we look at our past by letting it go. A client of mine came in and said, "My father has just passed away and he was my sole support, my sole spiritual support in this life. And my husband, who is an alcoholic, relapsed." He said, "Well, what does that mean to you?" She said, "That means that God hates me." And that decision was causing this woman a great deal of trouble. So we talked about the other possible meanings. We came to the conclusion that it didn't mean that at all, or it didn't need to mean that. She said, "Well, maybe what it means is that God loves me and He's given me an opportunity to discover His power in my life." Another client of mine in a 12-step recovery group reacted to my attempt at describing this situation. He said, "You cannot tell me that the fact that my father beat me every day from the time I was 8 until I was 14 means nothing." He said, "I'm not saying that it doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying it doesn't mean what you think it means." 2 sessions later, the light went on. He said, "I finally got it. This had nothing to do with me. Up until this moment, I thought my father beat me because I was flawed and I was broken. I just realized that he beat me because he was crazy." I can let that concept go. My challenge to you today is to let your past go, be nothing, and feel the power that comes from being nothing. The way we used to do mental health counseling in the past was somebody would come in and they'd say, "I'm a 1939 Dodge pickup with a busted windshield and torn upholstery and 4 bald tires. Give me a couple of new tires to get me back on the road." We're not going to do that anymore. What we're going to do today is to give you a new Dodge pickup. You are brand new, you are a blank slate, you are born again. Go forward and feel the power of nothing in your life.